Let's start with a confession. Most of us are addicted to very specific kind of fiction. It's not a novel or a movie, it's the 5 year plan. We treat it like a sacred text. If you're at a dinner party or a job interview and you don't have a crisp, confident answer to where do you see yourself in half a decade, the room grows cold. You're viewed as aimless, perhaps even a bit dangerous. But I want to propose something radical. The more detailed your 5 year plan is, the more likely you are to be standing in your own way. We've been sold a version of responsibility that is actually a sophisticated form of self sabotage.
It's an obsession with the master plan. We're socialized from a young age to believe that life is a linear ladder. You graduate, you get the entry level role, you hit the management tier, you buy the property. We crave this because the human brain is wired to abhor ambiguity. Uncertainty registers as discomfort, so we construct elaborate blueprints to feel safe. But life isn't a construction site with static drawings, it's an ecosystem. And in an ecosystem, the organisms that survive aren't the ones with the best long term strategy. They're the ones with the fastest response to the environment as it exists now.
And this is where the anchor effect comes in. When you commit to a long term roadmap, you aren't just setting a goal, you're installing a cognitive bias. Once you're told everyone you're going to be a senior partner by a certain age, your brain starts protecting that identity. You begin to value the plan more than the reality. If you had a rigid plan in 2019, it didn't just become difficult to execute, it became a mental weight. People stayed in failing industries because those things weren't in the plan. They treated change as an interruption instead of an invitation.
It quickly becomes a sunk cost trap. You spent years on track, so even when you see the track heading towards a cliff, you hesitate to jump because of the time already invested. We treat our lives like a scripted play, but the script was written by a younger, less informed version of ourselves. Why let that earlier version dictate who you should be now?
Rigid planning is a lack of humility. It assumes that you can predict both the global economy and your own evolution years in advance. It ignores black swan events, those unpredictable disruptions that actually shape history. If you're locked into a blueprint, it's like driving while staring at an outdated map. Eventually, you're going to hit something.
There's also selective attention. In the famous gorilla experiment, people are told to count basketball passes and completely missed a man in a gorilla suit walking across a court. A 5 year plan is an instruction to count the passes. You become so focused on titles and timelines that the gorillas of opportunity walk right past you. Innovation, by definition, is something you didn't see coming.
That's why many transformative inventions were accidents. Spencer Silver at 3M was trying to create a super strong adhesive and ended up with a weak glue that didn't leave residue. Instead of discarding it, curiosity led to the post it note. Alexander Fleming didn't plan to discover penicillin. He noticed what happened when he left a petri dish unattended. What looks like irresponsibility through a planning lens is often attentiveness through a creative one.
When you're obsessed with executing a blueprint, every deviation looks like a problem instead of a signal. We've professionalized tunnel vision and call it grit, when it's often just stubbornness in the face of new data. The people who move culture forward aren't loyal to the map, they're loyal to reality.
This leads to the intuition disconnect. Planning lives in the prefrontal cortex, the analytical manager of the brain. It's excellent for logistics, but poor at complex pattern recognition. Breakthroughs emerge from subconscious processing. When you micromanage your future, you force life to be lived entirely in analytical mode. You try to think your way into a great life, even though great lives are usually felt and responded to.
That's why flow matters. You can't be in flow while constantly checking whether you're on schedule. Imagine a jazz musician staring at a strategy document mid solo. Great work requires dialogue with the moment. It asks you to listen to what's needed now, not what you decided years ago.
Intuition isn't mystical, it's high speed pattern recognition. When you feel a pull towards something that doesn't fit your plan, it's often your subconscious spotting an opportunity before it becomes logical. Rigid planners dismiss that pull as risky, but the real risk is ignoring your most powerful processing system in favor of a list written during a quiet afternoon.
If we say toss the plan, people panic. They imagine aimless wandering, but there's a middle path, an agile mindset. In software, agile means you don't build everything first and hope it works. You test, learn, and pivot. Applied to life, it means replacing rigid destinations with directional intent.
A destination sounds like, I want to be a VP at a specific firm. If that firm disappears, the goal collapses. A directional intent sounds like, I want to master visual storytelling to influence culture. That aim is anti-fragile. It can express itself through platforms, companies, or mediums that don't even exist yet. It gives the world room to to collaborate with you.
This also means shortening your planning horizon. 3 to 6 months is enough. Within that window, be disciplined, but at the end of each cycle, hold a funeral for the plan. Compare expectations with reality and let dead ideas stay dead. Measure success by learning, not compliance. A so called failure that teaches you a foundational skill is not a detour, it's progress.
We should be honest about why planning is so seductive. Control is a drug. Plans make us feel insulated from uncertainty. We believe they eliminate failure when they really just delay our confrontation with the fact that we aren't in control. Creation requires surrender to the process, to feedback, and to the possibility of being wrong.
There's an irony here. The most responsible people, by conventional standards, are often the most brittle. When conditions change, they break. The ones who look irresponsible because they pivot and follow curiosity tend to be resilient. They're building a toolkit, not a cage.
So here's the challenge. Look at your 5 year plan, if you have one. Ask yourself how much of it is driven by genuine desire and how much by the need to feel safe. If it's about safety, delete it.
Try a one step experiment. Ignore step 10. Identify one curiosity you've sidelined because it wasn't part of the plan. Take that step, then wait.
Wait for reality to respond. Wait for the next step to reveal itself. The most interesting lives aren't engineered. They emerge through a series of responsive pivots.
You have permission to be unfinished. You don't need an answer to the 5 year question. I don't know yet, may be the most honest response you can give.
Because the future will be stranger than any plan that you could design. Stop managing it. Start engaging with it.
And that might be the most creative decision you ever make.
There's another subtle cost to long range planning that rarely gets discussed: identity foreclosure. When you decide too early who you are going to be, you quietly stop listening for who you're becoming. Every new interest gets filtered through the question, is this relevant to the plan? If it isn't, it gets dismissed. Over time, that creates a narrowing of identity. You don't expand, you specialize prematurely. And specialization when it's chosen too early, often isn't mastery, it's fear wearing a respectable outfit.
This is why so many people feel hollow even when they're on track. They did what they were supposed to do. They hit the milestones, yet something feels off. That feeling isn't ingratitude or burnout, it's misalignment. It's the signal that your inner life has outgrown the container you designed for it years ago.
A directional intent keeps identity fluid. It allows you to evolve without feeling like you've failed. You're not betraying your past self. You're updating your understanding with better data. The flexibility isn't weakness, it's intelligence.
When you loosen your grip on certainty, something surprising happens. Energy returns. Curiosity comes back online. You stop asking, is this safe? And start asking, is this alive? That shift changes how decisions feel in the body. Life becomes a participant. Life becomes participatory again, not something you're managing from a distance.
If today's conversation felt like it gave you permission to breathe, or perhaps to finally burn a map that's been leading you nowhere, then we'd love to have you join us for the next one. This is the space for the curious, those who prefer the living reality over the static plan. If that's you, take a moment to hit the like button. It tells the algorithm that these ideas matter. Subscribe to join our ecosystem and ring that bell so you never miss a pivot. Remember, the most successful version of you hasn't even been imagined yet. We'll see you in the next video. Until next time, think differently, dream boldly, and create consciously.
I'm a quiet rebel, I don't need a shower. Changing the world from the inside out. No fists in the